Welcome to Philosophy and Critical Thinking. In today's video, we're going to be discussing thought experiment, the trolley problems. The first thought experiment comes from Philippa Foot. In this thought experiment, imagine there's a runaway trolley and it's hurtling down the track. It's about to plow into 5 people. There's no way to save the 5 people other than pulling on a lever which will divert the trolley onto another track. However, there is one person on the other track which will be hit by the trolley if you pull the lever. Would you pull the lever and have one person die and the other 5 not die? Or would you not pull the lever and have 5 people die and the other person not die? Why and why not? At this stage, think about your answer, then pause the video. I'd rather you have an answer to this thought experiment before we move on to the next thought experiment. This thought experiment comes from Judith Jarvis Thompson. Like the previous thought experiment, there's a runaway trolley about to plow into 5 people. There is no other way to save the 5 people other than pushing a fat man off a bridge. Now this fat man is large enough to stop the trolley, so it will stop the trolley hitting the 5 people. Of course, this would kill the fat man if you do this. Also, you have to assume in this thought experiment that it's only the fat man who's large enough to stop the trolley. That you can't assume that you, by jumping off the bridge yourself, would be able to stop the trolley. So the only way to save the 5 people is to push the fat man off the bridge. Would you push the fat man off the bridge, or would you not push the fat man off the bridge? Why and why not? Have a think about that, and like before, pause the video, think about your answer, and once you've decided the answer, we'll go on to our third and final thought experiment. This final thought experiment also comes from Judith Jarvis Thompson. In this thought experiment, there's no runaway trolley, but in this one, you are a doctor and you have 5 patients who desperately need organs to survive. In fact, it's got about 24 hours until each of these 5 patients are going to die unless they get the organs that they need. It happens to be the case that another patient has just come in, and this patient is compatible with all the 5 other patients and has all the organs that they need. So if you were to kill this patient and harvest the organs, you'd be able to give those organs to the 5 other people and save their lives. Would you kill the patient for their organs, or would you not kill the patient for their organs? Why and why not? Have a think about this answer, and then we're going to consider these 3 thought experiments together. Were your answers across the 3 thought experiments consistent or inconsistent? For instance, did all of your answers involve 1 person dying and 5 not dying? Or did you have all of your answers having 5 people dying and 1 person not dying? Or were they inconsistent? Did one thought experiment have 1 person dying and 5 not dying, or another thought experiment where 5 would be dying and 1 would be not dying? So have a think about that and think about what made your answers inconsistent if they were, or what made them consistent if they were. Once you've thought about that, have a think of, are all 3 thought experiments morally the same, or are there morally relevant differences? Of course, as we know, all 3 are not exactly the same, but are they all 3 morally the same? If there are moral differences, why are there moral differences? Or if you think there are no moral differences in the 3 thought experiments, why aren't there any morally relevant differences? If you want more information, you can go onto my website www.philosophycriticalthinking.com, and on that website I have a tutorial on arguments from analogy and thought experiments, which is relevant to these kinds of videos. I also highly recommend the book Introduction to Philosophical Methods by Chris Daly. I'll have an Amazon link in the description below if you want to purchase that. If you want to stay tuned for more philosophical videos and thought experiments, please subscribe and click the bell. Thanks.